Imagine you're the owner of a modest one-bedroom apartment in downtown Athens. For years, you've rented it out long-term, low risk, steady income. But now, platforms like Airbnb offer a completely different value proposition. Instead of collecting €500 a month from a local tenant, you can make that in a single week from a tourist. To landlords, the math is simple. Short-term rentals drastically outperform long-term leases. This shift has turned thousands of homes into cash-flowing micro-assets, optimized not for community, but for yield. But for renters, the consequences are brutal. Suddenly, they're being priced out, not by neighbors, but by algorithms chasing occupancy rates and margins. Since 2017, rent in Athens has nearly doubled. Across Greece, it's up almost 70%. And yet, wages have barely moved. This isn't just a housing issue, it's an economic imbalance. Behind the beaches and rooftops, Greece is in the middle of a full-blown cost of living crisis, quietly unfolding beneath the tourist brochures. Tourism now employs nearly 2 million Greeks, but this economic lifeline has become a double-edged sword. More demand, less housing. In Athens alone, Airbnb listings have exploded. Over 14,000 properties in the city center, a density that's no longer casual, but corporate. And 70% of those listings, not from individuals. They're operated by multi-unit hosts, running it like a business portfolio. These aren't homeowners, they're portfolio managers, and every apartment is just another asset class. Meanwhile, local tenants are being evicted, not due to missed rent, but because investors see a better return elsewhere. Athens is experiencing a transformation, not through policy or planning, but through platforms and profit incentives. The moment short-term rentals became more lucrative than long-term leases, the city's housing stock shifted from serving residents to serving revenue streams. Investors began buying up blocks. Some buildings now operate entirely as de facto hotels. No front desk, no staff, just code-locked doors and calendar optimization. Locals watch as their neighborhoods morph into revolving doors for strangers. Some properties flip hands multiple times in a year, sold not for living, but for their earning potential. This is a market driven by yield, not shelter. And it's not just wealthy investors. Pensioners, small landlords, even middle-class families began converting spare rooms and rentals into short-term units. When survival meets opportunity, even community gets commodified. But for tenants, the ground is always shifting. There's no certainty. No lease is safe when a better return is just a calendar away. And for city officials, regulating this new economy is like chasing smoke. Every new rule is met with a workaround, a loophole, or a new platform. It's not just a housing crisis anymore. It's a business model, one with no off switch. Across Athens, apartment buildings that once housed families and students now host an invisible hotel network, one with no signage, no lobby, and no staff. Behind every smart lock is a unit optimized not for living, but for turnover. Occupancy rates, dynamic pricing, calendar sync. These have replaced stability, community, and continuity. To live in these neighborhoods now is to witness a revolving door, a new face every few days, a suitcase always rolling across the sidewalk. Real estate flyers promise micro units with macro yields. Listings emphasize investment returns, not livability. And so, landlords adapt. A long-term lease locks in modest income. Short-term unit offers flexibility and far greater upside. Old rental signs are being replaced, not by rented, but by booked. Families find themselves boxed in, literally, forced to move, to downsize, or to leave the city altogether. For many landlords, this isn't personal, it's arithmetic. The spreadsheets don't show tenants, they show margins. Meanwhile, city councils are overwhelmed. Their meetings are filled with dashboards, legal loopholes, and pressure from both residents and rental lobbies. This isn't just Athens anymore. It's a platform war, and the city is the battlefield. The numbers are staggering. Over 70% of listings in Athens are run by hosts with multiple properties. Compare that to cities like Paris, Berlin, or Rome, and Athens stands out dramatically. It's not just a few people renting out their spare rooms, it's become a business model. Entire apartment blocks are purchased, gutted, and rebuilt, not for locals to live in, but for tourists to stay in. This concentration of listings isn't random. They're mostly in the city's historic and residential core. Neighborhoods like Koukaki and Exarchia, once vibrant with long-term residents, have seen rental prices shoot up and availability plummet. Locals are being priced out. Long-term tenants are evicted, and in their place come short-term tourists, luggage wheels echoing down alleys. The city changes. Block by block, apartment by apartment, it becomes a hotel. And in this hotel, there are no guarantees. No minimum stay, no maximum. No front desk. No one to call when the plumbing breaks. No fire safety inspections. No doorman. No neighbor to borrow sugar from. Just code-locked doors and profit margins. And for those who own, who manage, who list, it's frictionless. Automated messages, dynamic pricing, calendar syncing. You never meet the guest, and they never meet the city. Because the city isn't the point, the listing is. So the question isn't whether Airbnb is good or bad. The question is, who is the city for? Is it for those who live here, or those just passing through? When housing becomes a commodity, a yield, a data point, something's lost. Athens, like many cities, is being optimized. But optimized for whom? And in that optimization, we must ask, what makes a city a home? That answer varies depending on who you ask. For a tourist, it might be good coffee, a rooftop view, fast Wi-Fi. For a local, it might be knowing your neighbor or trusting your landlord. For a city planner, it might be housing density, zoning laws, tax revenue. Each of those answers is real, each is valid, but only one of them lives here. Cities are not spreadsheets. They are not apps. They are not dashboards. They are people. They are memory and movement, contradiction and chaos. They are love stories and grocery runs and stray dogs barking at 3 a.m. And in every home replaced by a listing, a little of that noise is lost.